All right, y'all. So we're back here again. We're coming in and looking at Chapter 10, and we're mostly going to be looking at comparing groups, right? So this is something that we're often interested in, right? Because we know that there may be groups of people in general, right? They could be from the same sample, they could be from different samples. So one example, right, we talk about in the notes, right, is that there are Dodgers fans, right? Forthright, upcoming, all that good stuff. And there are Trastros fans, right, that we know are complete garbage and should be banished from society, right? Can one be a fan of both the Dodgers and the Astros? No. Maybe you used to be. You could have used to be like that, but after the results of the MLB investigation, I think it's pretty impossible. If you're playing in both, like, come on, dude, right? Like, you're gonna pick the carcinogen coast over the Gold Coast team? Come on, give me a break. So what ends up happening, right, is that we are interested in this, right? So this is one example, right? It could also be that we are interested in groups between treatment groups, or a treatment and control group, like in an experiment. So that could be like if we are asking people. If we gave them like some people therapy and some people did not, and then looked at mental stress as a result of it after the intervention, that could be one example of that kind of thing. This could also be if we want to compare, outcomes in salary between men and women. If we could look at, who's ultimately, happier in society. Between people who work blue collar jobs versus people who work white collar jobs, right? The list goes on, right? And so what we become interested in, right, is that there is an important little note, right, is that these samples or these groups that we draw from, they're independent if they are drawn separately, right? So they're not within the same group, so drawn from separate pools. But these are also, if we're comparing outcomes, right, they're dependent if we're comparing groups within the same sample. So this would be, so if they're in the same sample, that would be like we, looked at salaries, at Cal State San Bernardino, and we wouldn't compare differences across men and women. That is a dependent one. Now, if we looked at men at Cal State San Bernardino and then women from Cal Poly Pomona, then that would be an example of a dependent or an independent sample because they're not from the same place, right? So that's the key difference is like where is this sample being drawn from? We are also interested too in looking at responses, which is sometimes called like the outcome variable or dependent variable, something that should sound familiar, and the independent. So this is going to be explanatory, treatment, or control, right? Like it could be any one of those things. It's important to know that this lingo, differs, but it is usually means the same thing. So just be mindful of that going forward. So now that we have the lingo kind of established, we'll pick up and continue this in the next video.